the South African Chamber of Commerce in the U.S. has expressed its concern on the U.S. Congress's vote for a full review of the bilateral ties with South Africa. The legislation passed by the U.S. House for a full review could have several significant impacts. Joining us to discuss this further is Neil Diamond, President of the Chamber of Commerce in the USA. Neil, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us on The Full View. You've raised concerns that the impact of the vote, around the impact of the vote, which took place in the U.S. on the same day as our elections, meaning this move wouldn't have been interrogated at length because of the focus on elections here in the country. Let's talk about the implications of that full review of South Africa's bilateral relations with U.S.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers in South Africa. Yes, I think the fact that it occurred on the same day as our elections in South Africa allowed it to slip underneath our radar. But the reality is the House did pass a bill for the full review of the relationship with South Africa, and that has created a significant concern for us. The US has got a trade with South Africa totaling about 25 billion US dollars, which is half of a trillion rand in 2022. Just the exports from South Africa to the US was a total of 8.3 billion US dollars. The US is definitely our second largest trading partner, and South Africa is the largest trading partner of the United States in Africa. So the legislation signals a potential shift in the bilateral relationship between South Africa and the US. This review could lead to an increased scrutiny of political, economic, and security aspects in our relationship. Depending on the findings, it might result in an adjustment to the existing agreements.
I want us to be more granular.
And a reevaluation.
Pardon me for interjecting there. When you talk about the increased scrutiny of our political, economic, and security aspects of the relationship, let's look at the political. What could be the concerns here, just for the benefit of those who might not know where exactly this decision to review stems from? Is the concern right now around our position on the Middle East conflict?
It would be difficult for me to speak on the political level. I can speak from a business perspective where those concerns are. But I think it is well known that many people in Washington, D.C., on Capitol Hill, has got issues with South Africa's international relationships. It is important to state that we are a sovereign nation and that the United States also needs to respect the fact that it is in our own national interest to have global relationships across the globe. But our geopolitical position, our strategic geographical position makes us a desirable partner, not just for the West, but also for the East. And that doesn't sit entirely well on the Hill.
When we look at the economic implications, you've talked about the exports just from South Africa alone, quite significant, including the imports. So it seems from what you're saying that even for America, they would be doing themselves a disservice as well by perhaps looking to cut ties with South Africa, if at all that would be the outcome, or possibly it could result in just some sort of an adjustment to the existing agreements.
I think there is a need for a reset in the existing agreement, but we need to look at what the immediate impact is. The immediate impact is on AGOA. The African Growth and Opportunity Act is a framework that facilitates trade between the US and South Africa. And this creates an environment where South Africa, amongst many other African nations, benefit from tariff-free exports to the United States. A review of the overall relationship may also create an impact on our benefiting from AGOA. And specific industries like the automotive industries, textile industries, agricultural industries would be adversely affected. And this would not just affect those industries, but key deliverables in South Africa, like our economic growth, job creation, and direct investment that the United States provides into our country.
Do you get a sense that Pretoria currently is giving this particular matter the kind of attention it deserves? Because it clearly is a big problem, but South Africa is unrelenting in its support for Palestine. Yes, you state that it's a sovereign country, but do you believe there needs to be some sort of a conversation post that vote, in as much as South Africa was preoccupied with elections? Do you believe right now there needs to be a broader conversation on what happened on the day on the 29th of May?
I definitely think that there is need for improved relations with the United States. We see that on both sides as business, that there are attempts being made to improve the relationship. President Biden phoned President Ramaphosa after his election as president by Parliament to congratulate him. We saw a call between Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Minister Ronald Lamola this week, congratulating Minister Lamola on his appointment. And as business, we've got full confidence in the new minister and the new administration that they can focus on repairing those relations. I also think on the on trade and industry side, Minister Park Stow, which is well known within our environment, has got a lot of confidence from business side to focus on getting the business relationship back on track. We put our trust in our government, but at the same time, we need to see some action. We haven't had an ambassador for a prolonged period. We need to get an ambassador in the United States as soon as yesterday. And that ambassador needs to be somebody that has got an understanding of both South Africa's position, but also the importance of cordial relations with the United States.